We're gonna be eating so good this winter. Welcome back to the homestead. Today's video is going to be the next to last Just Can It video, where this whole month of July I have been canning my freezer to make room for the Every Bit Counts challenge, things that are going to be going into the freezer in just a few days. And we plan on bringing back a good size grocery haul from the States, and we need to be buying some more beef from our farmers. So we got to make some room in those freezers. And the last video will not only be a canning video, it's also going to be a roundup of everything we have canned together this month, and I'm really excited to show to you all everything we've canned. It's blown my mind how much is on my shelves. So today is another pork canning video, but this one's a little bit different. We're going to be canning pork tenderloin, already done in a jar, and all we'll have to do is, when we go to serve it, add a little bit of flour to the broth that's going to be in the jar to make a little gravy, and boom, we have an instant protein for supper. I'm so excited for this winter. We're going to be eating very, very well. And first we need to start with our liquid that's going to be getting boiled before we start cutting up our pork tenderloin into 1-inch medallions. We're going to fry them up a little bit to sear them to get them a little bit of color. First, so in this big stock pot, I have 1 quart of homemade chicken broth. That's the other thing about this recipe I'm excited about. A lot of the things I'm going to be using are things I grew myself this last year or so. So I'm also using up some of that. So that's pretty exciting. So in here I have 1 quart of homemade chicken broth, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder that I grew last year, dehydrated and made into powder. And in this bowl, I have 2 tablespoons of onion powder. Is it 2 tablespoons or 1? 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of oregano, and a teaspoon of Himalayan sea salt. The recipe does call for 2, but again, the recipe I'm using is from that pressure canning book that I love, but I find she uses too much salt in her recipes for our taste. So I'm just going to do the 1 teaspoon. And we're going to give this a stir. I can always add more salt when we're cooking. And canning will intensify the flavors, salt, spices, everything. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil. So I have here 2 beautiful pork tenderloins. The recipe does call for 5 pounds. This is just a little under 5, but I'm going to make it work because this is what I have. And we are going to just cut these into 1-inch roughly slices. And I cut mine on the dais like this. And then I have a little bit of oil in my cast iron pan over there, and we are just going to sear the pork loins for 2 or 3 minutes aside, and then just put them right into our pint jars. So this recipe says you will need 6 pint jars. That's what I have ready. We'll see, because I do have a little less pork than the amount, the poundage. And pork tenderloin's a favorite in this house. Even Aiden likes pork tenderloin. Having a very sharp knife is probably one of your biggest tools, I think, to have in the kitchen. I just sharpened all my knives, and I'm barely having to do any work to cut this tenderloin.
My wish is that you don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. I'm running, and you should too, and hit that subscribe button. I know what you've been asking yourself. How can I make a difference? I'm just one person.
I can make a difference, but I'm just one person.
Well, my friends, I'm here to tell you that it's free, quick, and easy. Share this video on your social media and make that difference today.
So I have about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in my pan. This has come to a boil, so we're gonna just put that on very low while we finish up the pork. I'm not worried about cooking it all the way through. I just want a little bit of that color to start showing up because it will continue cooking during the canning process. So, okay, our pork is all seared up. It smells amazing in here. And I've decided I'm gonna weigh, I've done the math, and I'm gonna weigh how much meat's gonna go into each jar. So this way each jar gets the same amount of meat. I'm gonna try this. Usually I just eyeball it, but today we're gonna try it. And pour, and just put the liquid right over our seared beef. And of course this is going to have a little grease to it, so I will be wiping off all the jars again with a clean cloth and using my 4-jar lids again. All right, I'll meet you at the canner. Okay, before we start the canner, I can't remember if I said the pork needed to be 1-inch pieces. Obviously when I cut it raw, that was bigger than 1-inch pieces. So I cut it up into 1-inch pieces after I cut it. I find it's easier. So yeah, so I cut, and my SD card was full and I had to switch it out. So I didn't get to tell you while I was doing it, but I cut them into 1-inch pieces. You see, they're pretty hot, but let me see. And put them, and then put them in the jar. Because obviously some of those pieces were humongous, which is fine, but I mean, you're gonna have a jar of 2 or 3 with really big pieces and some with not. So anyway, yes, cut your pork. I find it's easier to do it after I cook it. So after I cooked, after I browned it, I cut them into 1-inch pieces. And I end up getting 4 pints out of this recipe, which is pretty good because the original is 6. And like I said, I knew I was going to be less than 6 because I had just a little less pork than the recipe called for, but it worked great. And I actually have very little broth left, like very little. So that worked out great. So I will, if I can find it, because it is in a book, I will link the recipe down below, the full recipe with the 5 pounds of pork. Like I said, I end up having about 4 pounds. Yeah, you'll get 6, I'm sure, if you use 5 pounds. So sorry, it has been a long week. I'm all over the place. I have a lot on my mind, a lot that needs to be done. We are just insanely busy around here. As usual, a lot going on behind the scenes that I always talk about. So my brain was a little scattered today, but I really wanted to film this video for you all because I also want to get it done. It's been thawed in my fridge now, the 2 proteins for a day now, so I needed to get going on them. Anyway, I have over here in my canner my 4 quarts, 8 cups of hot water, and I'm going to pressure can. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to double check because I never want to give you the wrong time. 75 minutes for pint jars, which is what we're doing today. So, and that will be it for today. We're going to get these going. I have a lot more to do. I have a lot to clean up because, as usual, I am a messy canner. And plan for the next video, amongst other things today. And don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be notified when all the new videos are coming out, including our final Just Can It video, which will be out in just a few days with our complete total of everything we've made. I know you've all seen it as it's gone along, but I think to see it all in one space, all the jars, is pretty amazing, I have to say. I think it's pretty cool. So don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss the next video. Until then, friends, take care, God bless, and we'll see you all soon.